How did a snowman win an uneven fight with a human? How did a cat teach a mean child a lesson? How did a teenager who attacked a goose end up punishing himself? You can find the answers to these and many other questions in this video. Today, I will tell you about the most interesting cases of instant karma. Snowy revenge. The heroine of this video faced a problem, a snowy winter and children's joy. Apparently, she hates fun and is part of a fight club. So she decided to deal with the snow giant using brute force. The lady tries to knock her opponent down with kicks, but it doesn't happen right away. But even that is not enough for her. Apparently, this woman is not familiar with the rule that you shouldn't hit someone who's down. Even though the snowman doesn't resist her blows, it's far from fragile, which is why she can't manage to break it. Then she decides that she might as well just jump on the beautiful snowy creation. But even then, the snowman is in no hurry to give up. It holds on until the very end, and when it finally collapses, it gets its revenge on the lady for its demise. She epically slips and falls to the ground, hitting herself painfully. Now karma has taught the malicious woman a lesson, and the snowman has been avenged. You shouldn't be so aggressive. In this video, the crowd tried to express their aggression and emotional pain on the innocent gate. Only the people didn't consider one small detail. These gates won't easily forgive those who decided to damage them. A man, with particular malice, rushes to the heavy metal gates and furiously starts shaking them, trying to prove something to himself or those around him. It's just that, in his childhood, he was probably not taught to be more careful with heavy toys. The gates can't withstand such pressure and decide to give the offenders what they deserve. A heavy ball, which served as a decoration for the metal barrier, falls with a clang onto the head of one of the offenders. This has a simply magical effect. Everyone immediately leaves the unfortunate gates alone, and someone even ended up with a soccer ball as a result of the incident. That's how karma and the ball defended the metal fence. Caution! Slippery floor. And here a man decided to show himself in all his glory. He was walking through the building's premises on an already slippery floor, but decided to make the task a bit more challenging for himself and others. The untidy man leaves a nasty trap for someone, but ends up falling into it himself, sliding across the floor like an unskilled figure skater. As a result, karma set everything in its place, and the man, who doesn't know what ordinary rules of behavior in public places are, faces the consequences of his decisions and the floor. I hope he remembers this life lesson for a long time. Give me a kiss. The hero of this video caught a snake somewhere and couldn't think of anything better than to start teasing it. Like a little child, he started sticking his tongue out at the already angry snake, which made the venomous creature even more furious. But the man didn't stop and began offering the venomous beauty a kiss. Then the snake decided to play by his rules. She calmed down a bit to get closer to her offender, and then fulfilled his wish by giving him an unforgettable kiss. Never forget about karma, because it can grant your strongest desire, which might backfire on you, as in this case. And the man should have been happy, and the snake got her long-awaited revenge. Motorcyclist. In these frames, a man is captured who decided to perform a stunt on a motorcycle. Perhaps he was trying to prove something to his opponent in a dispute or believed in himself too much, but his iron steed turned out to be not as compliant as the man had hoped. To make a stylish exit from the argument, the rider stood on the rear wheel and sped forward. However, he didn't take into account that sooner or later he would have to land. And it wouldn't be the softest landing, as motorcycles don't forgive mistakes and inexperienced riders. And karma doesn't favor the impolite either. That's how the unruly iron Mustang threw off its rider, causing laughter among his competitors. Be careful and polite on the roads, and remember to only perform tricks that you know how to do. Keep your hands on the handlebars. In this video, you can see a man riding a bicycle on a warm and sunny day. The weather is beautiful, and the people around are polite. However, the rider himself was clearly not in a good mood and kept trying to knock over pedestrians. One of his victims recorded the reckless rider's behavior on camera. As soon as he tried to knock someone over again, his potential victim stood their ground until the end. The person filming provoked the cyclist's anger with their behavior. He took his hand off the handlebars to express everything he was thinking with gestures, but lost control of the road. His iron steed was unforgiving of such mistakes and quickly got rid of the malicious rider. But the man never admitted his fault and immediately rushed at the person he believed was to blame. However, not seeing fear in the victim's eyes, he quickly backed off, got on his bike, and rode off into the sunset, nearly hitting another unfortunate soul. I have a feeling that today's video hero will receive more than one lesson in karma. Don't dig a hole for someone else. A very young child who decided to bathe a kitty became the central character in this comedy. The little one confidently heads to the pool to show the furry friend the joy of bathing. He doesn't yet know that cats hate water. Step by step, and soon the kitty is about to get its fur wet, but it's not the one who ends up in the water. The nimble and agile little creature pushes off from its swimming instructor and quickly runs away. Meanwhile, the clumsy child ends up in the water in an instant. Karma didn't take long to strike. As the saying goes, don't dig a hole for someone else, you'll fall into it yourself. How cleverly he thought that out. Witnesses managed to capture a taxi driver who, due to his own carelessness, drove into another car. Having caused the accident, the hapless driver decided that taking responsibility was not for him. He decided to flee. However, the culprit of the incident didn't consider one thing. There's an intersection ahead, and he needs to watch the traffic light. As soon as the taxi driver sped onto the previously quiet intersection, another car immediately crashed into him. In just a couple of minutes, one driver caused 2 accidents and almost destroyed his car. Now, there's no way he can flee the scene. Karma can be ruthless to those who refuse to take responsibility. Karma isn't even needed here. 2 geniuses went into the forest in search of adventure and, luckily for us, captured their escapades on camera. At first, you might think, what's the big deal? Just 2 men throwing rocks at a dry tree branch. As the saying goes, as long as the child is entertained, they won't cry. And the men, out of boredom, often do something like this. But take a closer look. On one of the branches hangs a wasp nest, which these 2 geniuses were trying to hit. They probably thought that as soon as the nest touched the water, it would immediately sink along with its inhabitants. However, the situation turned out to be quite different. The nest stayed on the surface, but the wasps went on the warpath in terrible anger. This frightening fact was noticed by the 2 men. Not immediately, but only when the enraged insects came for revenge. They definitely didn't get away without a couple dozen stings. And karma wasn't even needed, the insects themselves were perfectly able to handle those who decided to destroy their home. Thief, don't steal. The hero of this video visited a local store and decided that he had also purchased the shopping cart. The thief tried to load the stolen goods into the car trunk and quickly drive away, but it wasn't that simple. The cart stubbornly refused to fit into his small trunk, no matter how hard the thief tried. And then, it seems he reached his goal. The cart finally fit into his car, but the man had poor judgment. When he closed the trunk, the rear window was shattered by the wheels of the stolen cart. That's how the unlucky thief paid for his attempt at theft. Now even this cart won't cover the cost of the car repair. He should have been patient. At first, it might seem to you that in these frames, the man is just standing and admiring the beautiful night view, but that's not the case. In reality, the man couldn't think of anything better than to use the river as a toilet. But karma doesn't forgive such things. The man didn't even try to hide and acted in front of onlookers who didn't stand by idly. An alert passerby, who was clearly against such actions, pushed the vandal into the water. I think this lesson will stick with the man for a long time, and now for such needs he will look for a toilet. After all, he just took a dip in the very water he spoiled. It's likely that he was hungry. A green parakeet, who decided to play with a cat's tail, gained a valuable life lesson. The little bird nipped the fluffy creature, and karma worked instantly. Probably the cat thought that the bird was terribly hungry and helped it find a bowl so the feathered one could properly get a meal. Now the bird will remember for a long time that it's better not to pull fluffy and big worms with its beak. And if not, then the cat can always teach the parakeet another important lesson in manners and about nutrition. He will take care of the feathered one properly. Haste makes waste. Another pair of simple thieves got caught on the surveillance camera. This duo decided to steal a radiator from the entrance of a building. They did everything possible to pull off the job quietly and unnoticed. The men successfully removed the radiator. All that was left was to leave from the entrance without making noise. That's where they made a mistake. One thief was so delighted that they managed to pull it off that he pushed the other towards the exit to quickly leave the crime scene. But with such a heavy load, you can't rush. It can be very dangerous. So the second thief, unable to keep his balance, fell on the stairs and descended even too quickly. Whether they regretted deciding on this crime after what happened is unknown, but a couple of scrapes from such a descent definitely remained, and their faces are on this video too. Friendly fire. Sometimes karma doesn't even need to intervene. Like, for example, in this case, the guys decided to work for karma themselves. They came to someone else's windows with stones to carry out their revenge. For what, we won't find out. Perhaps it wasn't even about revenge. The young people simply wanted to express their hostility in this way, but karma didn't let them finish the job. The first avenger threw a brick at the window, and the stone, possibly, successfully completed his mission. After finishing the job, the guy decided to step back, but got hit by someone he least expected. His friend's brick, on its way to the glass, encountered a small obstacle in the form of the young criminal's face. Just like that, a single brick punished two young men who decided that breaking windows at night was a good idea. Two birds with one stone. And in these frames, the hero became karma for himself. A man was driving a car and drinking a beverage, most likely alcoholic. As we all know, doing this is prohibited by law. But that's not all. It turned out that this driver also is fond of littering in unauthorized places. After finishing the bottle, our genius decided to dispose of it in the usual way by simply throwing it out of the car window. But he didn't consider one small detail. The window was closed. And as it turned out, the bottle from the alcoholic drink in a few times was stronger than the car's glass. The bottle ended up outside the window. The man both drank and got rid of the trash. But for this, he will now have to pay with a window repair. I hope that such an effective lesson will be remembered by the man for life. And in the future, he will drink and dispose of trash in designated places. Do not harm animals. A conflict occurred between the girl and her mother. The child was angered by the adult's words. And then the girl decided to take it out on someone smaller than her. A cute kitten was lying on the grass, basking, turning its face to the summer sun. But the child was clearly not satisfied that the fluffy creature was enjoying life while she was suffering. The girl decided it was time for the kitten to leave and hinted at this with a kick. But the little ginger fluff ball doesn't forgive such things. The cat immediately began to defend its honor and place in the sun. It jumped up and wanted to scare the unruly girl, and it worked. Even though the claws didn't use them, the ginger cat's movements alone made the child run away without looking at the road. As a result, the little girl tumbled head over heels and didn't land on her feet, like cats do. Karma quickly set everything right, punishing the little troublemaker. So, who's the prey now? Just imagine a wonderful summer picnic. Relaxation, a grill, kebabs, nature, and warmth, perfect elements for any getaway. But then a man saw a small piglet wandering around looking for something tasty. In our hero, the ancient hunter's instincts were awakened, and he decided to cautiously catch the animal, using the excuse that he just wanted to move a chair. The man sneaks up on the piglet until it doesn't notice him, and then boldly grabs it and tries to take it away. But our hapless hunter didn't consider something. If this piglet is still small, then surely its huge mother is wandering nearby, whose anger is best not to awaken. As soon as the piglet let out a cry for help, its mother immediately responded to the call. Quickly spotting the offender of her child, the enraged mother declares a hunt on him, trying to bite the man. That's how, due to one unsuccessful hunt, the hero of the video almost lost his pants. And he could have even been harmed by the blows of the angry piglet. An experienced driver. Most often, karma catches up with those who drive carelessly. That's how the hero of this video suffered due to his own foolishness. At first, it seems like everything is fine. A typical situation on the road, several cars transporting passengers somewhere. But if you look closely, you can notice that two vehicles are staying suspiciously close to each other. As soon as the adjacent lane clears up, the driver behind decides to change lanes and move on. After all, that's what most of us would decide to do. But no, the driver changes lanes and immediately decides to cut off the car that was previously driving in front of him. But karma doesn't forgive such actions. As soon as the driver completes the dangerous maneuver, he immediately skids and crashes into the barrier in the adjacent lane. That's how an attempt to prove something to someone turned against the reckless driver. He got what he deserved. In these frames, you can see what happens when you try to trick an animal. A man walking around his yard noticed a cat peacefully sitting on a trampoline. Of course, our protagonist immediately came up with a cunning plan to make the cat jump and get nervous. The man carefully circles around the furry creature, making sure he stays out of sight of the pet. But you can't fool a cat that easily. It already suspected something due to the strange behavior of its owner. To avoid taking off his shoes, the man decides to jump onto the trampoline with his whole body. But the cat manages to slip away before the man lands on the rubber surface. However, karma didn't let the owner get away with it. It turned out there was water on the trampoline, which soaked all of the prankster's clothes. The cat remained safe and sound without even having the chance to understand what it's like to jump on a trampoline while the man had to change his clothes. Or maybe that was the little furball's plan all along? Goose revenge. Many of us know firsthand that if there's one creature you shouldn't mess with, it's geese. After all, these feathered creatures will seek revenge in the most brutal way, and you won't escape without a few bites. But it turns out that geese are protected by not only their beak but also karma. Two young guys were riding their bikes towards a bright future. But then, in the path of one of them, stood an enemy from his childhood, a goose. The feathered creature wasn't showing any aggression, but the cyclist decided to take revenge for all the years of suffering and fear. The guy slowed down and tried to hit the good-natured bird with his wheel, but he ended up damaging himself. You can't go far on such a metal steed now, and he still has to deal with the enraged goose. So our unfortunate cyclist will get a lesson not only from karma, but also from the offended feathered creature. Conclusion. Instant karma is a reminder that we are all connected. Every action we take, regardless of its scale, creates consequences that will inevitably come back to us. All the cases in the video are meant to remind you of the importance of responsibility in every moment of life. Remember that the good you do will bring joy into your life. But bad deeds will result in worse consequences for you. Thank you for watching the video until the end. See you soon.